This week on In Post, it's another live edit, unscripted, uncut, a few wrong turns, but in the end, a pretty good photo. Hi everybody, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In Post. So this week's another live edit. You guys have been very clear, you like the live edits, and I'm gonna try to do more of them. Longtime viewer Marty used the expression, it's like looking over your shoulder while you process a photo. And I kind of like that. That's really what I am trying to do here is, pull back the curtain and let you see the kind of the raw process that I'm going through. And I'll try to verbalize my thoughts as much as I can as I go through a photo that I haven't processed yet. Now, because of that, it could mean that this video is a little longer than usual, maybe a little rambling, but it's because my wheels are spinning and my gears are going in my head as I'm looking at this photo and trying to figure out what direction I want to take it. So this week I've picked a photo from Windansea Beach. It was one of the in the field episode earlier this week, the spot that I went for hadn't been in a few months. And I'm looking forward to getting back there again with the San Diego Coastlines workshops. Still a little space available in the April 29th, 2016 workshop. If you're interested, have a look at that on my website. It'd be cool to see you in San Diego. But with that, let's get into Lightroom and look at this photo and we'll see where we emerge on the other side. I've got two images I want to blend together, sort of taken just moments apart, if a minute at most. And the reason I want to blend is I have another photographer that's here taking a photo on the left-hand side, and they're moving around over here about a minute later or so. I want to get rid of that that human element there. I've got a little bit of ghosting in this shot. That doesn't look so bad there. I like this misty feel of the water. I don't like the glow here, so mostly I'll use this shot and do a little tiny bit of masking, because I think the masking will be just quicker and simpler than trying to do some spot healing or any other type of harder erasing and things. Also looking at these, I think I may crop this in just a little bit. This is a bit of a dead area, a little bit too wide here. Same thing here, so I may crop in from this edge. Let's get these over into the develop module and really just start with this one on the left, since this has just about everything that I want in it. So over to develop. No photo selected. Let's select the photo. How about that? Okay, there we go. So first thing I'll do is crop the R key, grab this and bring it in some. And I'm kind of watching where these rocks are on the edge here. I need to strike a balance between getting rid of some of this dead space and not making an awkward crop over here so that these rocks don't look too jilted or too jagged. Let's see, something like that. That looks good. I'll do a little bit of touch-ups on these things here. Speaking of touch-ups, Q key for spot healing, and I'll press the A key so I can see the spots and see if I have any. This looks pretty good. I'm going to crank it up a little bit more. It has a few up in the sky there. We'll take care of those. I am really due for a sensor cleaning. One more notch, I'll bet you I'll find a couple more. Yeah, there's a few more there. We'll take care of those. That one right there. Okay, A key again, Q. That looks good. All right, let's take care of the exposure, the basic panel, all that stuff. I should double check my lens corrections. All right, good, that is on. So basic, first thing with the white balance, this water, in my opinion, should be white. That's white foamy. Let's take a hit on that and see how warm things get. That actually got really, really warm. Okay, that's too much. All right, let's undo that. And let's try an auto, see what that does. That's better. That's better. I still might even cool that down just a little bit, because this was after the sun had gone down. And so it shouldn't be that warm. I'm just fiddling here, probably splitting hairs at this point, somewhere around there. I'm going to play with tint too. And if I nudge this toward magenta, I'm going to get a little more of a twilight feel. Ooh, that's actually kind of looking nice, a little bit too strong. Let me back that off a little bit. That looks good. Okay, now exposure-wise, generally this looks a little underexposed. This whole thing is a bit shifted to the left. So let's nudge the exposure up. Actually, just that one single click I did there looked much better. Undo, redo. That's better. I know this is a little hazy up here, and that's okay. There was a fair amount of mist, and we still have to do things like contrast. I press the V key, go to black and white, and then start working the contrast slider. I like to do the contrast in black and white because I can see what's going on better. There's less tones for my eye to deal with. Somewhere around there is looking pretty good. Let me take the V key off. All right. I'll skip highlights and shadows, go down to blacks and whites first. White point, so Option and then click, and so I get the little map of where I start to clip. All right, there's those spectral highlights way up in the sky there. It actually looks like it's going to be very, very bright. Nope, not too bad. All right, and we'll do the same with blacks. Drag the blacks down so I can get a good black point. I like to keep a few pure blacks, like this pure shadowy spot there. Speaking of shadows, let me open those up a little bit. And I am trying to get a little more of a flatter exposure when I do things in Lightroom. And I'll add the stylization when I get into ON1. Highlights. The highlights actually look pretty good. Let me play a little bit, taking those down. And that's really affecting this. I actually like the brighter highlights here, and that bunch of mist that has been thrown up into the air there. It's the haze of these buildings in the background, these houses. I'm going to keep that where it is. I'm kind of happy with that. Let's take a look at clarity now. V key again. I also like to work clarity in a black and white mode so I can see what's going on. And I'm not going to add much, just a little bit. And the reason for that is I know I'm going to do some dynamic contrast work, and I don't need to overload clarity. We'll play with vibrance some. I'm going to expect to see a little more in the blues and greens here. And let me take that. I'm going to take that little boost of vibrance there. I'm not going to do saturation. If I do any more color work, that'll be in the ON1 suite. So that's pretty good. Let me do a quick before and after. Oh yeah, much richer, much nicer tones there. This bottom rock is bothering me a little bit. I'm going to end up having to take care of this this little white speck there. Let me revisit the crop one more time and see if showing a little bit more of this outcropping is better, or at least less, it's not as distracting. A little more like that. Press enter. That's a little better. One more time looking at this curve here. Gosh, I did compose that pretty well in the camera to kind of get that nice triangular shape here. So I think I'm going to try to keep that like that, and I'll downplay this little light up here. Yeah, I like that better. So I'm going to stick with that. Now I'm doing a little border patrol. This thing's bothering me now a little bit. This is what happens when you crop sometimes. Sometimes you need to tinker around. You know, and for this one, I'm going to abandon the aspect ratio because this is going to be consumed on a screen, and I don't have to keep a print aspect ratio for that. But now this rock's bothering me there. I'm going to undo that. We're going to stick with aspect ratio. And once I add, I know I'm going to add a vignette at the end of this. If this still looks a little distracting, I may replace this little bit of rock with this moss here and just let that fade into the corner of the photo a little more. Okay, so that looks good. Let me move to the right and go to our second photo, and all I'm going to do here is click previous because I just want the same exact settings, the same exact crop, everything else, and I'm going to toggle back and forth just a couple of times. So I am going to want to mask in this area here, right? This is the person I'm going to want to remove. You know, now that I'm looking at it more closely, I'm not sure if I'm going to need to mask. I might be able to just do some cleanup work with the perfect eraser, and that will, I won't have to bother with trying to match these exposures exactly. This is mistier, and this is a little darker. I'm going to stick with a single photo. I'm going to try and work with that one. So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to take it over into the photo suite. God, old habits die hard. Photo 10, and we'll do some stylization there. In layers, first thing to do is some cleanup. Let's start straight away with my fellow photographer out there. Actually, I wasn't there with this person. I don't know who they are, but they were doing the same thing I was, so that makes them a fellow photographer. So let's see, I'm going to set the eraser size here, and I'm going to start with just the tips of this tripod. We'll see if we can get that out of there. All right, one more attempt with just a single click. That looks nice. Okay, now we'll take the individual legs out. That looks really good. Wow, nice job, eraser. Get that one there. Now this is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I'm going to do something I cover in my video course on this, a little divide and conquer. So I'm going to get the clone tool, clone stamp. Bring this down. Feather 25, that should be okay. And I'm going to grab a piece of this rock here, option click, and I'm going to drop it right there. Coming from the other side as well, option click. Drop that there. Maybe one more time to blend that together. One more time here. Hit it one more time, something like that. That's pretty good. I'll clean up the edge in a minute. Now that I've got these things isolated, I can do a little better job with the eraser. And this is soft enough in the background that's probably going to work quite nicely. Let's see how that does. Very nice. Okay. And now we'll take care of this little bit here. Got a little bit of like repeating pattern issue there. We'll smooth that out some. And now I'll grab the retouch, and just to kind of give that a little bit of smoothness through these areas here. Smooth out that little rock edge. That one looks bad. Smooth that part out there. We get the idea. That looks pretty good. Okay. Command 0, zoom back out. Much nicer indeed. What else do we have left to tend to with the eraser? A few things that are construed as spots. Let's zoom in on that corner. It is always best to work with your erasing fully zoomed in, just because what looks good zoomed out can look really terrible at full resolution. And there was one other something or other. Here we go. I'm not sure what that is, scrap of trash or just bird droppings, one of the two. Or one can say that they're actually the same. Okay, I could go a little crazy with this, looking around for all the little white flecks. Get the idea. And we talked about this moss. I'm just going to take care of it now. Let's just take care of this low little piece of rock here. Command minus to zoom out one little notch so I can have all of that in place. And let me try, I'll be a little aggressive, and I'll try the whole thing in one shot. See if there's enough of a uniformity there. Make sure I've got all those bits. That is going to blend that in with a little bit of water here and a lot of moss here. Let's see how we do. Not too bad. I'm going to get rid of this because I know that's not what was there. Not that that would really impact this photo too terribly, but that's better. I'm going to take that. Take that as good. All right. With that, turn it onto a smart layer so that when I go into effects, I can change the edits if I need to. So let's get this into effects. In effects, mainly I want to do three things here. I want to take care of color, take care of contrast, maybe add a little bit of mood, like a glow or something to really accentuate this soft water. Let's start with color. We'll go into the color enhancer, and we'll see if that does anything. It doesn't do anything with tint, which means we did a very good job when we were in Lightroom. That's good. I'm going to start with greens. I want to get those mosses popping more. There's a green enhancer. Let's see what that's going to do for us. Not too much of a boost. It's subtle. It is there, but it's subtle. Let's pop into the orange channel because these rocks are more or less orange colored, and pop the saturation on those just a little bit. Something like that. Let me go really far to see that. Yeah, it's overdoing it for sure. Pull that back a little bit. That's nice. That's good. And the second thing I'm going to explore for color is a black and white filter. I have a different video on this. You take a black and white and tune it so you've got a nice looking black and white photo. And once you've done that, you can start to, you flip over the settings for the blending mode and you get a nice pop in color. So I'm gonna increase that. Shadows actually look okay. Let's see, that looks good. Now I'll pop this over in the options here to luminosity. And not too much of a, a bit of a pop. So here to here, I'm not liking that. Let me back that off some. That's a little better. I was losing too much in the highlights. It looks a little better, yep. It's cutting down a little bit here, which actually is nice. That was a little bit hot. And it's adding a little more definition into the rocks themselves. Speaking of definition, let's get this dynamic contrast going. That'll be our next thing. I'm gonna get those rocks to jump out more. A natural setting is probably gonna be actually really strong. Yeah, let's just cut that in half to start with, and then start playing with the slider. Now I'm watching the rocks only. The water is picking up some of that that local contrast, and I don't want that, but I'll mask that away in just a moment with the quick mask. That's pretty good. Let me grab quick mask. It's already set to paint out, and I'm just going to sweep this through the whitewash areas of the photo so that I can remove the contrast from that soft water. All right, let's finish that. Let's see, Control M. Not bad, not perfect though. I'm gonna leave the mask on here so I can just touch these things in here. Now, an odd thing about when you have the quick mask and the masking view is you can't see where you're painting on the screen, but you actually can see it in the navigator. So for whatever reason, that seems like a bug to me. All right, better. At this point now, I'm gonna switch to the refine brush. Pop that open. I'm gonna turn off the mask. I'm just going to sweep over all this area here. Now the refine is only going to increase the mask, and we saw these areas didn't have enough of that masking space there. All right, my computer's struggling right now because it's also recording the screencast, which it's great, but it does suck up a lot of memory. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Last little bit to do is grab the brush, turn it to a perfect brush, switch it to paint in with the X key, and I want to recover the contrast on that individual rock there. That I want to have. Looks like I got a little aggressive with the brush. Click around the edges there. That's pretty good. M, turn that off. All right, that's better. So before and after with the contrast, pretty happy with that. I mentioned a glow, thinking about some mood. Let's just give it a try. It's going to be something very subtle. I'm not sure if it's going to work for this image or not. That is terrible. We're obviously not going to do that, but maybe a lighter glow and then a much, much softer opacity. Let me turn that down to 15. Let me go back to normal. Lower that way down. What is that doing here? Is that giving me any... It's giving me a little more of a mood and a feel to these rocks here. That's a subtle one. I'm going to keep it. It's it's not crucial. And playing around, if I do warmth, maybe a little saturation. It's not really making much of a difference. Double click that, return it to 0. All right. Yeah, maybe one more time with before and after on the glow. That's a subtle touch, but I'm going to keep it. Last but not least, vignette. Grab that one. And I'll bring my feather all the way down, my brightness all the way down. Change the size around a little bit. Actually, let me change the roundness a little bit first. I'll change the size down some. I'm going to off-center this because I want this more toward the rocks in the foreground, something like that. So I'm going to get this corner here vignetted and then the rest of this scene here. Bring the feather all the way back up and then kind of adjust the brightness so that it looks good and the eyes are getting drawn in here. And that's good. It's actually downplaying this little light up in the house here. I may still touch that off in Lightroom if it still bothers me and just do a quick spot removal on that. But there we go. That is it. This is before and this is after. I'd say what was really nice is that the magic eraser or the perfect eraser, magic eraser, it is magic. Took care of this one area with the photographer I wanted to mask out, or sorry, remove, and I didn't have to do the masking. So the tip of the week is your retouching tools can sometimes save you some masking. Initially, I thought I would do a kind of traditional masking technique of several photos of the same scene and people or things are moving through the scene, and you can mask them away. But with all that mist and so forth getting thrown up by the ocean, the exposures were slightly different between some of the shots. And yeah, I could match the exposures in Lightroom and do some tinkering there. But I didn't have to, and I didn't have to worry about there's more mist in the background because a larger wave crashed between these two shots. The cloning tool, content-aware fill, the perfect eraser, all those things made the masking job unnecessary. So think about that. If you're having to remove a distraction, you've got a set of tools that can help you do that pretty darn quickly. All right, that's it for this week in post. A little bit long, I know, but that's okay, right? The live edits are fun. If you've got a request for some other type of video, you've got questions, please contact me through my website. Love hearing from you. Makes me think about my photography. Hopefully I can give you answers that help you with your photography. And that's the whole point, that we all get better together. Until next time, my name is Scott Davenport. Happy shooting.